just to segue into the next topic here, the incompetent and unemployed Alex Kurtzman is gone, says for 14 South African runs. When does the Marvel exorcism begin? And things aren't too good with the MCU, and Phase 5 certainly is not off to a great start, with it now looking more and more certain that Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania will end up losing money. The only question at this point is how much is it going to lose? Is it going to lose more or less than 100 million? But we are talking losses in that range, and it's looking increasingly unlikely to even match the first movie at the box office, and that is without inflation. So Quantumania, however you choose to look at it, is a disaster. Now, where do you put the blame for this? There's many fingers to point, but it would appear that Disney has chosen to scapegoat Reddit. Tom, I believe we have a story about that we can put up on screen. So basically, what Disney are doing is that they are subpoenaing culture.
Trying to subpoena.
Thank
is
you.
the proper term.
That's the word I was looking for.
Because I don't think that, because at this point, as far as we know, in basically so many terms, not to get ahead of things, Reddit has told them to go piss up a rope.
Yeah. It's
Google has yet to comment or do anything as far as I know.
Yeah, and everywhere I've read this story or picked it up or looked at it or whatever, I've been like, this is more of a scare tactic than anything else. And a lot of people tried to associate the outage that Reddit was suffering, was Disney attacking them or something. There was a lot of conspiracies going on about that yesterday.
The short version is this. What was it? Close to a month before the movie came out, somebody on Reddit had posted a breakdown of the film,
a transcript, 96 pages,
a transcript.
Yeah.
They had gotten their hands on the subtitle script of the film. So for other countries, when they get the movie, so they can put the subtitles on, somebody obviously does that or whatever. I don't know if this was something that took place in the US or outside of the US. Point is, they want to know who this individual is. Reddit protects its users. I see it falls probably under a First Amendment kind of thing, but Disney's arguing that they may have, grounds to go after this individual because if they're under NDA, which they have a point to that, but otherwise, if they're not under NDA, I'm not so sure what grounds Disney has to do a damn thing here. Because unfortunately for them, it falls under, like I said, freedom of speech and freedom of the press. And unless they're actually copying and pasting and putting the actual script out there, which is copyrighted, that is. Now, if that was the case, we'd be talking a little bit different situation here. This, to me, is about as dumb as the individual who thought that people should be prosecuted for spoilers. Because it's just never going to happen. Nothing is going to come of this. And so unless Reddit gives up any information, I don't even know if a court would give them the
And I agree with you, Tom. And to add to that, everywhere I've seen reports, the transcript was probably a localization, or subtitles or whatever, because it was in the Portuguese language. And
okay, so this is the first time I even heard which language it was.
Yeah, and as Andre suggested, it's probably out of Brazil would be my guess, and
probably Brazilian, because there's a bigger like scene for Marvel fandom in Brazil than there is in mainland Portugal.
The point is, unless this individual actually specifically works for Disney and signs some kind of NDA, there's not a whole lot they can really do. I mean, they can fire him. They can get him fired. But they're not going to extradite this individual over a freaking script.
If you have to prove criminality, then, but no.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is what kind of damages are they going to be able to prove for this?
This is nothing more than like, don't share our stuff, please.
No, this is exactly what I said last night. This is them deflecting from the fact that the movie fucking sucked and it bombed at the box office. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. This would have been a complete non-issue if the movie had done all right. But this is kind of like what I was getting to. The movie isn't doing all right. So then they're trying to scapegoat, like, oh, the movie isn't doing okay because everyone would have loved it, but the script was just leaked so much that so many people felt that they didn't need to go see it. Therefore, we have losses because of that. That is their implied argument. When, of course, the real story is that Phase 4 caught up with them. Few people checked out Quantumania to begin with, and after word of mouth of how badly Quantumania messed up, even fewer went back to see it. So yes, it's exactly as your guys are saying in the chat here. This is trying to shift the blame desperately.
When all else fails, blame the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's be real. I just pointed out, there was some individuals who were really pissed that a bunch of stuff from Scream 6 had leaked out before the movie did. And there was an individual who thought that people should be prosecuted for spoilers. And I, of course, called him out on his nonsense. But guess what? Paramount's not doing shit. Why? Because the movie's doing just fine. Andre's right. If this movie would be doing just fine, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I didn't even know this thing leaked out until just the story leaked out. like,
exactly.
This is the first I heard about it.
Yeah, but that's like the thing. None of us bothered looking for it, and that's
exactly
because of the damage of Phase 4. That's the whole reason for that. I mean, there's plenty spoilers for all of the upcoming plans for like Phase 5, Phase 6, and Phase 7. Granted, these things they're still being hammered out as we speak and as we'll get into here, but still they have like some plans and some director requests and everything like that already, which are leaking online, and we'll be getting into some of these leaks momentarily here. But what I will say is that when leaks really do matter is when the leaks aren't any good. Because here's like the thing, when you get leaks, that's usually when someone is unhappy with what is going on. Those are the productions that leak, is when the people working on the movie, who very often are fans of the properties, and they see what's going on and they cannot contain their frustration, that's when leaks happen. When things are all good and well, there's far fewer leaks to come by as a general thing.
It's also people justifying their jobs. This will have not done Disney any good. It's a giant waste of money. But if it's all internal legal money, then it's just they're just pushing dollars around from one division to another. This could very well just be make work projects. It could be an executive who is screaming at the foot of their desk, demanding something be done, and so they send their little sharks out to try to find some small fry to eat. I mean,
there would be two executives I would assume you're speaking about. One of them being Victoria Alonso, and the other one being Kevin Feige. I mean, those would be the two obvious ones, because let me tell you, Uncle Bob probably is not super thrilled with the performance of this film. So
we don't know whether Feige is a chair thrower or not. I get the feeling that Alonso is the one who has got the mean streak.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
Exactly.
What I have heard is that, and again, this is just rumor alert stuff like that. Kevin Feige is more of the passive aggressive type, whereas Alonso, again, rumor, is a screamer. Is what I've heard. And something like this is more likely to come from a screamer than someone passive aggressive.
Yes. Yeah. Again, this does Disney absolutely no good, and even if they win, it's worthless. I've seen this many times before. So what's the benefit, except for maybe you have to protect your IP or you lose your IP. I've talked about that before. So this could be a mechanical effort.
Yeah, and I would gather that also, to add to that, Paul, you said before, somebody's trying to protect their job.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and that motivates a lot of unnecessary expenditure because you're either going to keep your job or you're not, and the audience again, somebody leaking this. I mentioned it when we were talking about this story similarly on Mr. H. I said that the following: you only have companies complaining, as you guys mentioned, when you lose money on something like this, whereas with I mentioned that the original Matrix film leaked 2 weeks ahead of time digitally. You could get it in various platforms, including at the time LimeWire and other things. That did not affect the box office of that film, the popularity of that film, the rampant consumption of that film, both in the box office and in all of the other markets that used to exist that studios relied on to make more money. It didn't affect that film at all. Again, it only comes down to when you make something bad that nobody's consuming anyway, that you go running for that complaint department, right?